Welcome to another episode of the Urban Wall Street Project. I'm your host, Earl Christian III, of course. And today I have a dynamic show with a dynamic woman who does some amazing, major things. She's worked with some individuals from the A-listers to the AA plus listers. She's a positive black woman. I've known her from my college years. She's just an incomparable woman. So I'm not even going to go too much into it. I'm going to let you meet her for yourself. Without further ado, Miss April R. Silva.
Hey.
Ms. Silva, how are you, April?
I'm fine.
Finally, our schedules connected and we were able to make it happen.
It's been like a year?
Yes, it's been a year we've been trying to make it happen.
Amazing.
But, God is good and we're here.
Yes.
And I'm so happy. So I want to get right into it. But the first thing I want to talk about is AKILA Worksongs.
Right.
I love the name, but I want to know a little history about the name. And when you share it with me, you'll be enlightening my audience.
Yeah, the AKILA actually is a Swahili, Arabic Swahili word, which means she who reasons or she who is intelligent. So I just gave myself permission
Right.
and to identify myself in that way,
Excellent.
as I think we all should, right? We should all find something positive that we see in ourselves.
Right.
So that's what that means. And then work songs comes from, it's an African form of music, basically. And in our traditional home, our ancestral home, the continent of Africa, work songs was just what people did, what our ancestors did when they were cooking, farming,
Right.
which is any daily activity.
Right.
But when we got here, when we were kidnapped
That's right. That's
and
right.
brought here, enslaved, and I said enslaved.
That's right.
Very careful not to call our ancestors slaves, right?
Exactly.
So work songs became the kind of song that our ancestors did to make the burden easier. So it was the kind of music, so it's the music and the culture and the rhythm and the spirit of song that helped them get through the day.
Right.
So that concept, what that notion is what I wanted my company to represent. You know, headed by someone who most people might consider reasonable.
Right. and represented well, you do.
Thank you.
And so I want to talk about it because AKILA Worksongs, it is a public relations firm, or it does public relations.
We do public relations. We like to consider ourselves a communications agency.
Okay, communications, right.
Right, and we say that, and we try to broaden it, because when you say PR, for some people, PR is just people that get you into parties.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's definitely much greater than that.
Greater than that, because what we really want to do is communicate a particular kind of message by a particular group of people. African Americans, people of color, and in the broadest sense, people who get it, people of conscience.
Right.
So the notion is that we want to communicate powerful, liberating messages to the world,
Definitely,
you know,
definitely.
by our community. So we have mostly African American, but we do have a sister who's on board who is white, and she is a community of white people that call themselves anti-racist.
Okay.
She spends her life doing anti-racist work and checking white people
Right.
on their white privilege and their racism.
Okay.
So we want to get with anybody,
Right.
mostly African Americans, that get it and believe that the work needs to be liberating.
Excellent, excellent. Now I want to talk about it because, you know, the topic is be arts and activism.
Yes.
Because I know you've been very integral in art and working with individuals. And I have a list here, so many, from Sister Soldier, Sonia Sanchez, of course, Mary Baraka, Chuck D, Mos Def, Dougie Fresh, Tony Blackman, Bill Cosby, and the list goes on. That's just a small inkling of the plethora of people that you work with.
Right.
But arts and activism, what made you make that your focal point for AKILA Works on arts and activism?
Well, it's what I do naturally. It's what I do naturally. It's this notion that art doesn't exist in a vacuum. You know, it's nothing that I made up.
Right.
But the fact that art should be used as a tool for social change, for personal empowerment, that we as black people in particular don't have the luxury to have gifts and talents and not have those gifts and talents be for the improvement of our community.
Definitely.
You know, for the quality of life, you know, so that we can speak truth and empower ourselves. Every gift, talent, be it braiding hair to writing poetry to being a wonderful television host.
Right.
You know, all of those things should be, to some extent, you know, for the sake of our community, because we live in a society that is racist, that is sexist,
Right.
you know, that is capitalistic and doesn't do anything to at the onset bring out the best and the essence of human beings. Like, we're more consumers than citizens even
Most
in this
definitely.
country. You know what I mean? So we do believe firmly and passionately that arts should be used for social justice. And not that we can't have fun, not that we can't have entertainment.
Right.
You know, but I want to work with a poet who believes that poetry is supposed to be, to touch your soul.
Yeah,
You know?
definitely. And I'm glad you said passionate because, you're the quote that, that's I was reading your bio, and I really like the quote. And I want to read it to the people because I really want especially my young ladies and young sisters out there to know that this is about, we're going to talk about something, but this is about, progression and me highlighting black women that are doing positive things and making a move and becoming businesswomen and owners, because you're celebrating 15 years with AKILA Worksongsing. That's a huge accomplishment. But I want to read the quote from my people that says, "I am fiercely passionate and very clear-headed about my life and work. I live to powerfully communicate an essential truth, that the cultural arts can heal, politicize, and ultimately elevate our lives. It is simultaneously true that people of color, particularly Africans in America, must sustain and protect what we gift to the world. Our lives, our culture, and our future deserve the very best from us." And that is so poignant in this day and time and where we are, and in the time of change with Barack Obama and making history, and just the whole, not him just being a black president or a first black president for the United States, but representing, masses. It's the first time I've seen where, somebody has a global unification. You see people around the globe happy for something here. I'm not going to digress too much in here because I'm happy for your accomplishments in being a president and a CEO. And I want to talk about it because there's so many people I talk to, and whether I deal with students or people who call the show or watch the show, and a lot of women want to become more empowered. Because here's the reality. Women are the heads of households these days more than they should have to be. So they're required to bring home the bacon, cook up the bacon, and then put it away. So I want you to just share your experiences being a CEO, starting out, and then what this journey has been like over the course of 15 years. So if I can take you back to the beginning.
Wow.
What was it like with you? You know what? I'm ready to do my own thing and show the world and show America that women are just as thorough and can be just as influential as CEOs as a man.
And that's a long journey, a beautiful one. But I can honestly say my headspace wasn't in, I want to do this for women. I'm happy to do that, but that wasn't the driving, motivating force, right? I really think it was because I just fiercely passionate. I wanted to make sure that black people in general had the truth told about us. Like, I think that was the thing that really, so in that is me as a black woman, which is never denied, right? But I think it was more so, you raise a good point, because when I go back to my childhood and I remember the movie 10?
Oh, yes.
With Bo Derek?
Yes.
And during that time when they were doing the promotions for the movie, and she was trying to say that she invented cornrows.
Cornrows, right, with the beads at the bottom.
Oh, man, it made my stomach turn. And I had to be like 10 or 11 because I knew better, right? And so my whole thing is like, tell the truth. But again, that goes back, that's a women's, platform. So it's connected. I don't know if it's necessarily separated. But my biggest passion was to tell the truth, that we need to have the truth told about us. And now, 15 years later, I represent the woman that wrote the book Cornrows. And 2009 is the 30th anniversary. Nana Camille Yarborough. So I stand behind people who tell the truth with their craft, and that's my biggest motivation. And the business is dedicated to that. We've been in business for 15 years. I've been self-employed for 10. So I left my day job October 23rd, 1998.
Tell them dates, because
I know you know. I know. That's why I had to do that, because I wanted to let you know the dates are important, right?
Yes.
So it was October 23rd, 1998. I was a marketing coordinator in Brownsville, New York. And my uncle told me, April, you're not gonna, I was doing AKILA Worksongs as a side hustle. It was always there, but it didn't have my full attention. And my uncle told me, you have to throw your wallet over the fence. How else are you gonna make the company grow?
Right.
The notion being, if you throw your wallet over the fence, you're going to get it. You will figure out a way
Right.
to scale that fence, to get your money so that you can live and sustain your life. But if you don't take the risk, if you don't, push yourself and challenge yourself, then you have no reason to scale the fence and get over the obstacles. So that and the notion of owning my own time, that I felt that I had too much to give. I felt that I had a voice through my clients, through the body of work. I was excited about telling the truth about black people, and I couldn't do it with a 9-to-5.
Well, I'm gonna take it back for my people because you've been excited about telling the truth about black folks and making sure that other folks didn't misrepresent us.
Right,
so I want
right.
to go back to some of our early years at Howard, and I want to talk about something that you spearheaded, this cultural initiative.
Yes.
Can you take me back to the beginning? Because some people might not be aware, but let's talk about those beginning stages of where we are today.
Well, I'll take it further back than that. Some people might not remember the idea for the cultural initiative, which was the hip hop conference.
Yes.
Actually came to us in 1990 when we were all students at Howard University, via Haq Islam.
Right.
He was working for Philadelphia International. What is it? Philadelphia. What's the Kenny Gamble's label? I'm drawing a blank.
International
Records. Philadelphia International Records.
Right.
Haq was working as a VP there. He was a Howard grad as well.
Right.
Fast forward to he had the idea that hip hop needs to have the truth told about it.
Right.
Where better else than to do it at a university of black folks? You know what I mean? So he came to us. We were, when I say us, it was the student body. I was the head of the Howard University Student Association.
Yes.
Raz Baraka was the vice president.
Yes.
And this wonderful idea that was brought to us that we nurtured and developed and processed and organized and executed became the first national hip hop conference. Okay. Never before was there a national platform to discuss all aspects of hip hop and to have parties, because parties are fine.
Right.
But to have panel discussions.
Exactly.
Like,
I remember that first.
Yeah. So that was February 19th. 1991 was the first conference.
Sure. I think I had my camera out there for that too.
I'm sure you did. You know, I'm sure you did.
I bought a camera. I think my freshman year, my first Sears credit card, and sent me a credit card. And you can get your camera. I'm like, okay, I took the $1,000 and put it right in the camera. That was what the major was about. So I guess it was well worth the investment.
But let me just say this: that was a groundbreaking conference. Today, now. That conference ran for 6 years. I was the founding president for the first 3. Timothy Jones was the second and last president. But the significance of that now is that there is a hip hop and education movement. You can now take classes in hip hop studies. You can now, if Howard does his job, as it's trying to do, you can get degrees in hip hop studies.
Amazing.
There was no integration of hip hop in the academy prior to what we did collectively as students at Howard University. So I always say to young people, what are you doing at 18 and 19 years old? Hopefully, and I'm sure, something powerful. But you have legacies to start here, which is what we did. So now hip hop is being taught in the classroom, unfortunately, by people some people who are outside of it, don't understand it or know it from a book knowledge sense and can't tap into the essence of it. But then there are some professors that really know. But I always like to tell the history and the story. I'm glad you brought it up, because Howard and the students then deserve a lot of credit for pulling forth this seed, that is now growing and sprouting all over the place.
Right. Yeah. Now, there's so many things that you do, and I look at your bio because I say, I like to memorize it, and but there's so many different things. You've worked with the Grammys and Def Poetry Jam, of course, and Sean Combs, Busta Rhymes. But a lot of people, you've been an educator and a volunteer.
Yes. But
I want to talk about the International Arts Festival, and I know you worked with that.
Right.
And of course, Hip Hop Speaks, but there's just so many things. So I want to ask you, because people say, "Wow, she does so many things." Young woman, she does so many things. How did she get started? It seems like it would be so hard.
Yeah.
And we all know there are definitely hurdles, not necessarily because of the color of our skin, but the gender, the time that you're trying to do, what it is you're actually trying to do, who believes in your concept, your dream. What were some of your earlier struggles, and how did you overcome them?
Some of the earlier struggles and some that exist, in our communities, there is a cash flow problem. So I didn't have the things that they say you should have when you start your business. 3 months reserve, a business plan, None of that.
Right.
None of that. Sometimes I still don't. You know, we have structure now, and we're doing, you know, knock on wood. You know, we're surviving right now and growing at the same time. But
Surviving, you're being humble.
well, I mean, you know,
like
it's
that.
just, I mean, you know, we're working.
Yes,
We're
yes.
working. But what I think was core for people in this field of social entrepreneurship, which we are really trying to articulate to people what that is having business with a purpose,
Right.
you know, with a mission. We're mission bound, as they say. But I think if you bring a commitment to excellence,
Yes.
you're very clear about what your mission is and what you want to do and why, then the how will show up. That's the one thing I always talk about, because I lecture on college campuses as well, and in libraries and you know, wherever people want to listen. The teacher in me comes out, so I want to share what 15 years has got to mean something, right?
For sure.
But the idea that we don't always know how, but if we understand the why of what we're doing, if we can articulate that, then the process will show up. How, the concept of how to do something is a process question.
Yes.
It's this notion of, you know, the operation of it.
Right.
But that will show up. People will show up in your lives from nowhere to help you get from point A to point B if you can articulate what your vision is.
Exactly.
And if you're grounded in it and if you're passionate in it, the money will show up. That's one thing I have learned. If you stick with it and don't give up, the money and the resources will show up to get you from point A to point B. And faith is very, very important.
Yes.
It's
yes.
very important.
And that's one of the things I emphasize, you know, I mean, I've had a variety of guests and they all at some point, you know, hit on the fact you know, it wasn't about the money. It's about the passion.
Yeah.
Because if you do it because you're passionate about it, you do it because you love it, you do it just for the essence.
Yeah.
Then the financial rewards will come. I mean, that's just, it's a given process.
Right. Can I give this example? Because I don't want to. I get so sometimes I get abstract. I'll give a concrete example.
Okay.
I left my day job, like I said, October 23rd.
Okay. Yeah, I was October 21st.
Right. Oh, see, so
Right.
we this October thing going
October,
on, right?
It's time to make a move.
Right. It's at the fall. You start
right.
to start reassessing. But by December of that same year, 1998, I was working at Macy's because I left my day job thinking that there were projects on the table. I had checks coming, or so I thought, and all of that stuff fell through. Right. So by December, I couldn't even take meetings because I didn't have money for Subway,
right,
you know, or the bus or anything. So I would call people and say, you know what, can we turn this into a conference call and make up some lie about why I couldn't go into the city? And I was working at Macy's. I did that for a day because I had to pay rent.
You said a day?
My hat's off to people who can stand on their feet for 8 hours.
Oh,
I couldn't do it.
Right.
So I'm depressed, I'm distraught, I'm crying. I'm like, why did I leave my job? What am I doing? But I know I'm not crazy.
Right.
You know, there's a part of me that said, if you're not crazy, you just got to figure it out. That was December. January 9th, 1999, I got a call from a friend from Howard. Okay. Networking is important.
Networking is important.
He had a major project dealing with fatherhood. And he said, April, I know you know people in hip hop. I know you have your own business. We have a message that we need to get out to the community about being a responsible father. Right. Can you connect the two? Can you do this program? This brother, his name was Lauren Harris. His name is Lauren Harris. Works at the Ford Foundation. It is his job to finance projects. I mean to this level of philanthropy. My point is, I was making $10,000 a month.
Right.
After I was trying to figure out why did I leave my day job. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I mean, not just with that one project, but things had started to blossom. So my point was, 3 months after I left the day job and didn't have money $2 to get on $1 to get on a subway. Then the company had grown to the point where I was making $10,000. You know, for some people that's not a lot.
I think I remember that because I was working. I remember I was working with some high school kids.
Oh, right, yes,
and you came in
yes,
your career
yes,
day.
yes, 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 yes,
yes. I remember that figure. You was like right now, and the kids was like, wow.
Yeah.
And that's when I'm like, that's a beautiful thing, and that really sparked a lot of conversation.
Yeah.
Like the kids like, yo, here's this. They was like, yo, this black woman is making $10,000 a
right.
month, and it was funny to see, yo, she's black making $10,000 a month. And I let them know it's not about whether she's black, she's white, she's focused, she's committed, she's
right.
dedicated woman.
Right.
Irrespective of her color of her skin, she's focused. But yes, it is a beautiful thing when you see a black woman doing her own thing, owning something, and generating revenue that sustains herself. That's a beautiful situation.
Right, right.
And I really like that. So now we move forward. So if you were, I know you said you talk to a lot of students. So if I had 3 young ladies here, and they say, wow, I really admire her and I emulate her and I want to emulate her and do what she do. What's some advice, some piece of advice you would give to upcoming or fresh entrepreneurial women?
Right. Well, first I would say thank you. I think I downplayed when I was in school issues of sexism and gender bias because I wasn't as clear on it as I am today. And I always tell the story and want to share with women to be very powerful where they stand and not to take anything from anybody. I'll give you an example of how sexism shows up. I've had meetings with men and prospective projects, that we wanted to bring forth or pull account into the company. And there's something about the tone of this one particular gentleman. This was years ago, and I had my business partner come with me, Drake Holiday, who's another Howardite. Right. So in that meeting, for about 2 or 3 weeks, I'm talking with this head of the other company, head of a company to head of a company. Drake and I, my business partner, we go into the meeting, and the conversation shifts to the 2 men in the room, as though I'm not there, as though he hadn't been talking to me, as though I'm not the one that write the checks. Right. You know what I mean? So I'm just giving a crisp example, I hope, of how women can be perceived as invisible. Right. Like we're really not running the company. Like we have to be at the tutelage of a man, even though that's not true. But I would want women to be very careful to not diminish their power, or think little of who they are, just because business is male dominated. Right. And I think it's very important that we stand up and stand firm. And I've had clients, new clients, strangers, get on the phone and is like, "What's up, baby?" And I'm like, "Baby, like we don't like." Right. Like you wouldn't even talk to a guy who you just met. You wouldn't be like, "What's up, dude?"
My dude?
Right. None of that. Right. It's just so inappropriate. So I think every time there's a teachable moment for men to understand language and how language can be oppressive and what that does to the psychology, I think is important, because we as women just don't have the luxury to not say anything. But I would also talk about faith and perseverance, because it gets very difficult doing this work, regardless. To be an independent, sometimes undercapitalized business owner, and then to be a business owner and your focus is about social justice, or activism, or you want to work with people, how are you going to make money doing that?
Exactly. You're an artist, an activist. Well, there's no money in that.
Yeah. So the notion that we would even turn down money from people who we feel are not of service, in the community, like how do you even stay in business for 15 years doing that? But I firmly believe that faith and perseverance matters. Right. Being well qualified, staying on top of your game. If you got to take professional development workshops, if you have to pay for them or find some for free, do whatever it takes so that you are empowered with the right tools. It's not just enough. It's not just enough to have the faith and the perseverance and do it because you want to do it for women or black people or the community. You have to be skilled. You have to be skilled. Definitely. So that's important. Definitely.
Now I know we've been talking, and it doesn't seem like our time is coming to an end.
Is it really?
It's coming to an end. But I want to say something, because I know we talk about male and female, and quickly we talk about the masculinity. I know you have the card, and it shows just masculinity. Yes. What's the face of masculinity? Is it Barack Obama? Is it 50 Cent?
Right.
And what's your take on just how we're viewing what's a man or what's masculine in America these days?
Wow, that's loaded, but I'll try to make it quick. Well, I'll say this: www.masculinityproject.org. It is a website, a multimedia website where people can actually get a glimpse of the full spectrum of black men. So for so long, we've had this narrow vision of what a black man is, the society as a whole.
Right.
That you all are rapists,
Right.
that unintelligent,
Right.
that you're thieves, that you're naturally criminal. You know, so this website is a project that we have that we're promoting, is to say, wait a minute, let's broaden the perspective and the conversation of what it means to be a black man. The other project that I'm very, very happy about is the Fatherhood Project.
Definitely.
We have guests.
Be a father to your child.
Be a father to your child. It's an anthology that's out everywhere,
Right.
in bookstores and online, wherever books are sold. I'm the editor
Yes.
of that wonderful, wonderful piece of literature, of real life stories of 24 black men. So at AKILA WorkSongs, we want to tell the truth.
Right.
We do it through artists, writers, filmmakers, just people who have a creative craft.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So,
My people at home, women, fathers, sons, brothers, everybody, we all in this together. It's about making positive change, being an artist, being an activist, doing what it is for your community and for yourself. I want to thank my guest, Ms. April Silver. She's doing some phenomenal things. Check out AKILAWorksongs.com. Cop the book, Be a Father to Your Child. As I always say here at the Urban Wall Street Project, be mindful, stay positive, be prosperous. Until the next time, peace.